Hello, my name is Santi. I'm a marketing technology consultant with BluprintX, and today I'll be talking a little bit about UTMs and how they can be used to track your marketing activity in your web analytics platform of choice, such as Google Analytics or Marketo. So let's begin. I will just quickly share my screen and cool. So a UTM is simply a bit of code that is appended to a marketing URL, such as this one. And what it does is it adds information about the traffic source for that particular URL. There's three different dimensions that are mandatory on UTM codes, and there is a fourth optional one. So let's just quickly go through the definitions of these four UTM dimensions and some sample values that you can use to define where the traffic is coming from. The first value here is your UTM source. So every referral to a website has some sort of origin or a source. Some possible sources include Google, Facebook, Marketo. It's important to try and keep your source values relatively constant. You probably don't want to have some of your Marketo traffic being tagged with a UTM source of Marketo and some with MKTO, basically because that's going to make it just a tiny bit harder for you to look at your Marketo source reports and understand that both of those are actually coming from the same platform. There's a special UTM source value, which is direct. This one is used for any user that has typed your URL directly into their browser or who has bookmarked your website. But additionally, it's also used for any traffic for which there is no UTM information. So it's important to look at direct traffic and try and gauge how much of that is actually direct and how much of it is simply traffic that we have not been able to track. The second definition is your medium. So medium is a bit of a higher category than source. It's very important to keep these standardized. And in the previous email in our Ramp Up Your Digital Channels email nurture, we have discussed how tiny variations in your medium values could make Google Analytics not include your traffic into their definitions of a channel. So for example, if you were to tag your URL with a UTM medium of email with a capital E, that automatically doesn't fall within the Google Analytics definition of email traffic. They will not count this one as email traffic in their default channel definition of email. So it's important to keep these ones very consistent. I would probably say medium is the one. It's important to keep consistency across your entire UTM strategy, but UTM medium is probably the most important one for you to be consistent with. So some sample definitions of UTM medium include organic for unpaid search, CPC for cost per click, so stuff like paid search, Google Ads, paid social, Facebook ads, etc. Referral would point to links from a different website. Email, obviously, for email marketing traffic. And then finally, none, between parentheses. This one is used for direct traffic. So all direct traffic will always have a medium of none. The third definition that we'll be looking at is campaign. So this one is fully defined by you. Campaign is the name of the referring marketing campaign that you have created. It's still important to be consistent with the definitions, but it's up to you to define what your UTM campaign stands for. So here's some examples: September 2020 campaign, December newsletter, Adobe Revenue Attribution 2010. So you would define this according to your own definition of a marketing campaign. Finally, content is an optional dimension. So you would be adding that to the end of this URL structure in the same way as these ones have been added. So basically just add an ampersand UTM content equals, and then your content definition. UTM content identifies a specific link or content item in a campaign. So for example, if you have two call to action links within the same email message, you can use different UTM content values so that you can tell which version is most effective. UTM content is highly useful whenever you're doing any type of multivariant testing or A/B testing. So for example, if you are A/B testing two different images on your digital marketing campaigns, you could have one tagged with a UTM content of image A and the other one with image B. And then it would be very easy for you to jump into your analytics platform of choice and see whether your image A or your image B has been the one that got the most clicks, the most conversions, the lowest bounce rate, you name it. So yeah, another possible example could be a call to action of click here or a call to action of sign up now. Again, two different possible UTM content values that you can use to gauge how successful one or the other call to action was. Now, this is quite a bit to go through and quite a bit to remember. So there's tools that you can use that can help you with your UTM strategy and your UTM definitions to keep things consistent and to make sure that it's as easy as possible for you to jump into your web analytics platform of choice and see how successful your marketing campaigns were. The first tool that I'm going to show you is one of my favorites. This is Google's own campaign URL builder. Basically, what this is a page in which you can pretty much just add your website URL, your campaign source definition, your campaign medium definition, your campaign name, also the content, if that's what you're going for, and it spits out the entire URL with UTMs added to it. So this is a very handy tool so that you don't have to remember the entire syntax of a UTM, including the question mark and the ampersand and this and that. If you're not the type that will remember all of this stuff, then you can just simply use your campaign URL builder, and this one will do it for you. Now, this is very useful on a one-off basis, but what we highly recommend for your UTM strategy is to keep what we call a UTM dictionary. A UTM dictionary is nothing more than some documentation that will help you, A, keep your dimension definitions as consistent as possible, and B, keep track of every campaign URL that you have UTM'd in the past so that it's very easy for you to go back to a document and remember how you UTM'd that old campaign that you maybe ran 6 months ago. So it's important to keep a record of this. It just makes your life easier in the future. There's many ways to create UTM dictionaries. I'll just show you what we do at BluprintX. It's as simple as a Google Sheets. So in this case, this Google Sheets document contains a few different tabs for different types of marketing activities, such as webinars, social, training courses, Google AdWords campaigns, etc. Each of these essentially contain a few columns. The first one here is simply the base URL that we are trying to market to. And then we have our 4 columns for the different UTM definitions: UTM source, UTM medium, UTM campaign, and UTM content. And down here we have our consistent definitions of what a source should look like, a medium should look like, and a campaign should look like. So this helps us keep things consistent and avoid the scenario where we're tagging some Facebook traffic as Facebook and some as FB, for example. We're always going to use the word Facebook in here. Finally, this last column is simply having a concatenation of everything that has been typed in here. So as you can see, it just spits out the entire UTM'd URL. UTMs are supported out of the box by Google Analytics, by Marketo, and by any other web analytic platform that you might be using. And they are a very important tool in any digital marketer's toolkit to analyze how well your marketing campaigns have been doing. I hope you have found this useful, and if you would like us to help with your UTM strategy by creating a UTM dictionary, by configuring Marketo or any other platform to take your UTMs and to do cool stuff with it, please just let us know. Thank you.